It's terrific to see so many people here, and no one was happier than, I would say, a number of people in the room who have been on various committees over the past 4 or 5 months that the board passed the budget today. We have been waiting for a long time. As Elizabeth said, we got our budget letter last week. And this morning, we're really happy to report that the board did pass a $1.274 billion consolidated budget, the largest budget in the history of the University of Calgary. So that's terrific news for us. Speaks to our ability to manage and be fiscally responsible with money, and the government has recognized that. And in terms of our Campus Alberta grant, there was a large increase to $446.5 million. We did get, and it's nice to have a budget where a government promises something and they actually deliver on those promises. So we're very appreciative. We had a suggestion that we were going to get a 2% increase to that Campus Alberta grant, about $8.75 million. That was put into play. We had tuition freeze. So if you'll recall, tuition has been frozen for the last 2 years. Last year we got backfill money, so as if we anticipated that students would have paid for that increase in tuition, the government paid instead. We got that in one-time money last year. That amount was put into base, about $3.6 million, and we got an additional $3.7 million this year for the freeze that's in 16-17. That was very positive. And we also, you've heard us talk about facilities and making sure that we're maintaining our facilities in the way that they need to be. Bart and his team have done a terrific job of that. We were fortunate in advocating for more money. Last year we had just under $11 million, and this year we are receiving $14.4 million. The other piece I think that was really important is there's been very, very strong advocacy from everybody in our campus, students and staff, administration, and the Board of Governors, advocating for an increase in mental health funding. We were really fortunate 3 years ago to get a ramp, a tranche of $1 million a year for 3 years that expired on March 31st. And we've been told that we will get close to $1 million for this year. They will be analyzing that flow of money and trying to determine how they can continue it. So very, very positive news. I would say there were a couple of uncertainties that we all need to think carefully about. The innovation sector is one of those. In the innovation sector, you will have read that there have been some cuts to the Innovation Corps. We're waiting to see how those will roll out. Certainly the 4 Innovation Corps have been amalgamated. It's not really clear. They are going to create efficiencies by doing that. Not really clear how that will roll out and affect the University of Calgary. We're still in an analysis stage, I would say, and probably that won't hit so much this year, but will really impact in future years. And so that's going to be something that we have to really think about carefully. The other is the carbon levy, which is a new piece that was announced in the budget this year. We have done some analysis, and we think that's going to be a hit of anywhere between 1.5 and 5.5 million. And so again, there's still some information that we're waiting to get a little bit further information from the province on that. There are, though, some tremendous opportunities both in the provincial budget and in the federal budget. In the provincial budget, you will also know that we received $17 million for engineering and planning for McKimmie. This is one of our key projects in our capital plan, and will really help set up the planning and the engineering for that building. Of course, we hope this is followed in a future year by funding for the entire facility. That's what we're looking at, and certainly that's what we're advocating for. This is our #1 capital priority project. Will really make a difference. Those of you who may not know, we have 6 floors that are currently unoccupied in that building because of code issues, and every time we bring the ministry on campus, we make sure we walk them around that site. So they know better. I can have the Assistant Deputy Minister in my office, which faces that way, and every time he says to me, I know that's McKimmie Tower, right? So he's very familiar with the issues. The other thing on the federal side, some of you probably have been here long enough that you would have known A few years back, the federal government had what we call the KIP program, the Knowledge Infrastructure Program, which was a fantastic program for universities in terms of development of facilities. The new federal government announced a similar program called the Strategic Investment Fund. It's a fund of $2 billion that will be used to help really with research and commercialization facilities. Essentially, it's 50 cents on the dollar, and so they are willing to partner with different groups. We've been very fortunate in that Bart and his team and John Helho from Diane's shop have really created a strong partnership, very, very cleverly looked at matching dollars. We have put into that fund 8 projects that have been fully supported by the province in terms of our submission to the federal government, and we're hoping that the total of that will be $160 million. 8 projects, 80 million is matching, 80 million from the federal government, and the matching is coming from a variety of sources. So that's a really positive thing for the university in terms of advancing our research and commercialization agenda. Final piece from me, we have forecasted for the 17-18 year a 0% budget. We think this is prudent and fiscally responsible given the current economic situation. And you know, this means that over the summer and early into the fall, we will be looking at all kinds of strategies. We have not been told this by the government, but we've certainly had enough indications that this is highly likely. And we'll be putting strategies in place summer and fall, and coming back in the fall with our typical budget town hall to talk about how we might manage as a community. So that's the high level from me.